And new, oh my, welterweight champion of the world.
Boxing is a sport of glory and heartbreak. Champions step into the ring expecting victory. The crowd, the experts, the odds makers, everyone thinks they know how the story ends.
He goes down! Big delivery from Anthony Joshua. And will Joshua go for the kill right here?
But sometimes, fate has other plans.
And Ruiz counters! Ruiz counters and Joshua's down!
In the last 20 years, we've seen shockwaves hit the sport. Fights where underdogs weren't just overlooked, they were flat out dismissed.
He's gonna have to get active.
These weren't just upsets, they were earthquakes. Fighters who were supposed to lose flipped the script and shocked the world.
Oh, what a right hand from George Kambosos, and the takeover went down!
But that said, this is boxing's biggest upsets of the past 20 years. What's poppin', y'all? It's your boy Lou Too Sick. Welcome back to the lab. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all already know the vibes. We deal in everything violence on this channel, talking about everything from professional wrestling to boxing to MMA. Today, we're focusing on boxing, looking at the biggest upsets of the past 20 years. And y'all, I know the sport has a long history, but for the sake of my sanity, for the sake of brevity, I decided to keep it to the past 20 years. You already know what to do. Click a like on the video. Let's get it popping in the algorithm. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel because this is just one of the many things we're working on for you for this year. Hey, and I want you to join along. We're creating a little community here, y'all. And it's based on the one thing we love most. And that's violence. With that said, it's your boy Lou Too Sick. Here is the biggest boxing upsets of the past 20 years. Y'all know what to do. Keep those hands up. Number 5, Chris Algieri versus Ruslan Provodnikov. The one-eyed comeback.
It's not a bad thing to have anxiety. It's what keeps us alive in survival mode when we're in nature. It's what keeps you tight and ready to rock when it's fight night. If you're walking out of the ring and you're not tense, if it's fight week and you're not tense, something's wrong.
Today you see him calling fights on ProBox TV, a polished analyst breaking down the sport with precision. But few remember the origin story of Chris the Magic Man Algieri.
The undefeated fighting collegian, Chris Algieri.
On June 14th, 2014, Algieri wasn't a household name. He was a licensed nutritionist, a former kickboxer, and a massive underdog stepping into the ring against the Siberian Rocky, Ruslan Provodnikov. Provodnikov was a wrecking machine, a relentless brawler who broke opponents down with pressure, wild power, and sheer will. Fresh off a brutal stoppage of Mike Alvarado, he was one win away from a mega fight with Manny Pacquiao. And Algieri? Well, Algieri was just supposed to be in the way. Yeah, people saw Algieri, this clean-cut, good-looking dude, and yo, they weren't giving him a shot in hell. Myself included. Algieri wasn't a knockout artist. He wasn't an elite level boxer. He had never been tested against top tier competition. And from the opening round, it looked like the mismatch everyone expected. Less than 3 minutes in, Provodnikov exploded with a brutal left hook that sent Algieri crashing to the canvas. Moments later, another knockdown. By the end of round 1, Algieri's right eye was completely swollen shut.
Deep breath, Chris. Deep breath. I know you're good, baby. Come on, deep breath. Take breaths, Chris.
Now, most fighters, when they're faced with a situation like this, well, you know what they do. They either fold or play it safe. Not Chris Algieri, though. Instead, Algieri adjusted. Through sheer grit and ridiculous footwork, he stayed on the move, pumped his jab non-stop, and slowly he started taking over. Round after round, he landed cleaner shots, made Provodnikov miss badly, and turned a one-sided beatdown into a boxing masterclass. By the final bell, Provodnikov looked exhausted and frustrated. Algieri, he looked like he survived a war. Then came the moment nobody saw coming.
To the winner by split decision, and new undefeated WBO light welterweight champion of the world, the Fighting Collegian, Chris
A split decision victory for Chris Algieri. The crowd was stunned, the commentators were speechless. Even Provodnikov looked in disbelief. A fighter who wasn't even supposed to be competitive had just pulled off one of the most shocking upsets of the decade.
Algieri now the holder of a 140-pound world title belt.
And the reward? A life-changing shot at Manny Pacquiao.
All three judges scored for the winner by unanimous decision, and still WBO welterweight champion of the world.
Sure, he lost that fight, but it didn't matter. The win over Provodnikov cemented Algieri as a name in the sport, proving that heart, skill, and pure determination can flip the script.
Okay, working class kid, lives with his family on Long Island, no amateur background, fights Ruslan Provodnikov, gets off the deck twice in the first round with your eye like this and goes on to win. What did you just show the boxing world?
I showed the boxing world who Chris Algieri is.
Alright y'all, that was number 5, but yo, trust me, the upsets only get crazier from here. That's because coming up next is one of the most controversial decisions in boxing history. Number 4, Manny Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn, the robbery in Brisbane. In 2017, Manny Pacquiao stepped into Australia's Suncorp Stadium as a living legend, an 8th division world champion, an icon of the sport, and the overwhelming favorite to dismantle Jeff Horn, a former school teacher turned prize fighter with a forgettable resume. Horn had the home crowd behind him, sure, but the boxing world? Well, the boxing world wasn't giving him a shot. Yeah, this was supposed to be just another routine defense for Pacquiao, just another name on his record before he moves on to bigger fights. But from the opening bell, Horn made it clear. He wasn't there to be a stepping stone. No one expected Jeff Horn to come out swinging like a man possessed, but that's exactly what he did. The Australian challenger turned the fight into pure chaos, a messy, ugly, all-out brawl. He smothered Pacquiao with relentless pressure, clinching, elbows, headbutts, anything to keep the Filipino legend from getting comfortable. It was rough, borderline illegal at times, but it was working. Still, by the 9th round, it looked like Horn was finished. Pacquiao had finally found his rhythm, unloading a brutal barrage that had Horn on the brink of getting stopped. The referee even warned him between rounds, "Show me something, or I'm stopping this fight."
Oh my, is that good stuff?
The referee just called the doctor up into the ring. He's going to take a look.
But somehow, Horn held on. And when the final bell rang, everyone expected a clear decision for Pacquiao. Then came the shocker.
An all-time legend and an upset-minded local.
And new,
Oh my!
welterweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, Jeff the Hornet Horn.
Manny Pacquiao has been upset.
Yeah, the judges scored it for Horn. This wasn't just an upset, it was one of the most controversial decisions in boxing history. Immediately, fans were erupting. Pacquiao was looking confused. Even the commentators had some questions.
Listen, congratulations, great effort. I thought you lost, but great effort. I thought this guy was landing the punches. You were throwing a lot that were missing.
In the aftermath, Horn was celebrated as Australia's new boxing hero. But even today, the debate still rages on. Was this an incredible underdog victory or one of the worst robberies in boxing history? One thing's for sure, nobody saw it coming.
You're not supposed to get it for trying hard. You're supposed to get it for winning.
Alright y'all, that was number 4, but trust me, we're just getting started. Because the next upset on our list, well, this upset flipped the whole heavyweight division on its head. Number 3, Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight shocker.
The defending world champion, Anthony Joshua!
In 2019, Anthony Joshua, the undefeated chiseled UK superstar, was set to make his long-awaited US debut under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing. You see, this was supposed to be a showcase fight, a chance to introduce himself to the American audience before setting up a massive showdown with Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. But when his original opponent Jarrell Miller failed a drug test, in stepped Andy Ruiz. Now Ruiz was a last-minute replacement, a guy that casual boxing fans had no clue about. At 6'2", 268 pounds, Ruiz looked soft, slow, and completely outmatched next to the 6'6" Adonis like Joshua. No one was taking him seriously, and the boxing world was about to learn just how dangerous that mistake was. What happened next, no one saw it coming. In the third round, Joshua did exactly what everyone expected. A clean right hand sent Ruiz to the canvas. For a moment, it looked like the fight was over. But then, Ruiz got up. And in the span of a single round, he flipped the entire heavyweight division upside down. Ruiz didn't just recover, he fired back. He caught Joshua with a vicious counter, and suddenly the champ was in trouble. Seconds later, Joshua hit the canvas.
Andy Ruiz knocks down Anthony Joshua.
And then, he hit the canvas again.
Joshua covering up, headed towards the end of the round, and Joshua's down again. Anthony Joshua is down for a second time in round number 3.
From that moment on, it was all Ruiz. By the 7th round, Joshua looked exhausted, confused, and completely broken. Ruiz swarmed him, dropped him twice more, and when the referee waved it off, the impossible had just happened. The world had just witnessed one of the biggest upsets in boxing history.
And now, the new unified IBO, IBF, WBA, WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Andy Destroyer Ruiz Jr.
Yeah, it was a moment straight out of a movie, a true David versus Goliath type story. I mean, the guy that no one cared about, just like that, he came in, made history, because now he's the first heavyweight champion in Mexican boxing history. And the dude that everyone cared about, Anthony Joshua, well, just like that, his aura of invincibility was all but gone. The two would eventually rematch, with Joshua avenging his loss and reclaiming his titles. A trilogy fight? Well, that's never materialized. Now with both fighters in the later stages of their career, time is running out. If there's ever a moment to settle the score once and for all, I say it's now. Until then, all we can do is ask, what if? And appreciate the pure magic this rivalry has already given us. Alright y'all, that was number 3. And if y'all thought that was shocking, just wait. Because the next fight we're going to talk about, this wasn't just an upset, this was a pure humiliation. Number 2, Marcos Maidana versus Adrian Broner. The fall of a superstar.
I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
In 2013, Adrian Broner was riding high. He wasn't just winning, he was being marketed as the next Floyd Mayweather. Undefeated, flashy, arrogant as hell, he danced his way to the ring, talked a bigger game than anyone, and carried himself like he was untouchable.
Wild shots as he caught Litzau's attention.
There's no question he hurt him.
Mouthpiece is out, good uppercut, Litzau's down! And it's over in round 1.
They can, man. Anybody can get it. Africans, I just beat the fuck out of a Mexican.
Oh, no.
Yeah, love him or hate him, Broner was pure entertainment. And you wanted to watch him fight. Just because he would put on a show. You knew that he would win, and then he'd do something hilarious.
Hold on, Max. Hey, Dad. Brush my hair one time. Hey, Pops. Come brush my hair.
Well, that is until he met Marcos Maidana. From the moment the first bell rang, Maidana went straight to work. He came out guns blazing, throwing wild looping shots that instantly threw Broner off his rhythm. Then in the second round, he landed a vicious left hook, and just like that, Broner hit the canvas. For the first time in his career, the cocky, untouchable star looked vulnerable. But Maidana, he wasn't done. He kept pressing forward, bullying Broner with relentless pressure, heavy hands, and zero respect.
Neither guy wants to back off. Maidana tired. He's still trying to throw punches. Broner very impressive in the fact that he's been knocked down twice. He has a lot of power, yet he still tries to come.
By the 8th round, Broner hit the canvas again. At this point, the undefeated superstar wasn't just losing, he was being dismantled. When the final bell rang, the decision was obvious. Maidana had dominated.
And the new welterweight champion of the world, El Chino Maidana.
Yeah, this wasn't just an upset, it was a humiliation. Broner left the ring that night a broken man, while Maidana's career exploded. The win turned him from a tough brawler into a certified star, earning him back-to-back fights with Floyd Mayweather and forever solidifying his place in boxing history. As for Broner, well, he left that ring that night a different man. Less dancing, less cockiness, just the reality check of a lifetime.
I got a 40, but they said Trader Truth up in the building. And on the real top, shit, my Trader Truth up in the building. And they said Adrian Broner in this bitch. And I'll beat you up in front of him. How you looking like Adrian Broner in this bitch.
Alright y'all, now it's time for number 1. And this fight we're going to talk about wasn't just an upset, it was a hostile takeover. Number 1, Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos. The fall of a king.
But this is our show. We the takeover. This is the zone takeover. This is Matchroom takeover.
In 2021, Teofimo Lopez was on top of the world. Fresh off his shocking win over Vasily Lomachenko, he wasn't just the champion, he was the man. Undefeated, undisputed, and carrying himself with the swagger of a fighter who believed he was untouchable. In his mind, the takeover wasn't coming, it had already happened. But boxing has a way of humbling even the biggest stars, and Lopez was about to find that out the hard way.
We made it to the pound for pound list. We so delusional.
And you'll
I'm
be
the only
falling
one
off
holding
this
this
weekend.
fucking belt. We so delusional that I own this king shit, alright? So delusional.
In comes George Kambosos, a tough contender, sure, but he was considered another name on the Lopez victory tour. He was expected to basically come in, put up a fight, take the loss, and go home. Unfortunately, George Kambosos don't roll like that.
Victory by any means. I'm taking all them belts back home to Australia. Victory by any means.
You ain't
I have
taking
prepared.
nothing.
I have prepared like a
Taking
man
shit.
possessed while he's been in the bright lights enjoying himself, smoking his little hookah, enjoying with the drinks and the partying, loving the bright lights, going to every fight event like a groupie. I've been in the trenches.
Kambosos didn't just show up, he flipped the entire script. From the opening bell, he sent a message. This wasn't going to be easy. Lopez came out guns blazing, hunting for a quick knockout, but Kambosos didn't flinch. He stayed composed, read the openings, and then boom, a perfectly timed overhand right sent Lopez crashing to the canvas.
That's what happens when you go looking for the knockout. Teofimo just got dropped.
In that moment, the fight changed forever. Lopez got back up, but he was never the same. Desperate to reclaim control, he swung wild, loading up on every punch, but Kambosos was a step ahead, slipping shots, picking his moments, and dictating the pace with surgical counters. By the championship rounds, Lopez looked drained. The confidence was gone, and the frustration was written all over his face. And when the final bell rang, the world had its answer. Lopez, the undefeated, undisputed star, had been outboxed, outworked, and outclassed by the man he never saw coming.
And the new IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC franchise, and Ring Magazine lightweight champion of the world, George Ferocious Kambosos! One of the biggest upsets you will see!
And just like that, boxing had a new king. Kambosos didn't just win the belts that night, he won the respect of the fight world. He went from an overlooked contender to an undisputed champion, taking on some of the biggest names in the sport. Meanwhile, Lopez, well, that night changed everything. His aura of invincibility was shattered. The man who once demanded the world's attention has struggled to secure big name fights ever since. You see, that's the beauty of boxing. It only takes one night to change everything, because in this sport, it's never just about talent, it's about who shows up when the moment matters most. Hell yeah, y'all, that wraps up our list, the biggest boxing upsets of the past 20 years. And with that said, I now want to hear from you. Which of these fights shocked you the most, and did we miss any upsets that deserve a spot on this list? Make sure you let me know. We can do a part 2 or a part 3 of this video. Let's just keep the conversation going down in the comments. If you haven't, once again, click a like on the video. Let's get it popping in that algorithm. Of course, please, if you like the video, please let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. We got so much we're working on. Make sure you're tuning in, hit that notification bell, and of course, always keep those hands up.